light, still with academy, where leaders are born. Embrace the tempo, let your dreams take stone.
All right. Thank you, everybody. Thank you,
Rise
everybody,
up,
for taking the time to join, folks. Exciting. Thank you, everybody.
unlock
Thank
your
you all for taking the
potential.
time. We'll kick off in the next
Seize the
30
day,
seconds. Thank you all for showing up,
let's
everybody.
go
It's
to the
going to
boardroom.
be a fun
Let
time.
your
Let's
light
go,
shine,
people. Thank you all.
shine.
Thank
Still
you,
with
everybody.
academy,
Thank you all.
it's your time. Feel the drums pulsate,
All right. If you don't
energy
mind, just
so
slam
strong.
some like
Join the
below real quick
movement
and just put some
where dreams
comments. Hello,
belong.
everybody. Let's go.
From
It's been a while,
Lagos to
folks. Let's
Nairobi,
go.
hear the call.
Thank you, everybody.
Still with
Thank you all.
academy,
Thank you, thank you, thank you,
break
everybody.
down the wall.
I know it's midday,
Rise
we're at
up,
work. Let's just
leaders,
have fun.
let
Today
the
is one
dream
of those
guide your
exciting
way.
times. We have the privilege
Unlock your
of having
potential,
a great luminary
seize
with
the
us
day.
today. So she will be doing
From the
some
dance floor to
magical
the
things, folks.
boardroom,
Let's
let
go.
your light shine,
Hey, what's up,
shine.
Rich? Rich from New
Still with
York. Let's go.
academy,
Let's see where you guys are
it's
logging in
your
from. If you
time.
don't mind, let's see.
Oh,
Let's go, people. Thank y'all. Let's go. Thank you, everybody. All right. Thank you, Joe. Thank you, Rich. Hey, Mimi from Dallas. Let's go. Big D. Woohoo.
feel the drums
All right,
pulsate,
let's see.
the
Hi,
energy
Sheung.
so strong.
Hi, Uche.
Join the
All right, this will be
movement
very exciting, folks.
where dreams belong. From
Thank you,
Lagos to
everybody. All right,
Nairobi,
thank you. Thank you
hear the
so much.
call.
And ping everybody else
Still
and let
with
them know we are live.
academy,
We'll still.
break
Hey,
down the
Toronto in
wall.
the house. Hi, Sheung. Thank
In
you.
the
Thank
heart
you,
of
Toronto.
Africa,
All right.
storm
Oh, what's
ignites
up? Hey,
a
hi, Nee
retro
from London.
vibrant.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Defense minds
Houston in
alive.
the house. H
Still
Town.
with
Let's
academy,
go.
where leaders are
All right. Thank you,
born.
Adifemi.
Embrace
Let's
the tempo,
go.
let
Thank
your
you. Thank you,
dreams take
everybody.
storm.
The
Rise
goal is
up,
in the next
leaders,
30
let
minutes
the
of
dream
your
guide
life,
your
you would
way.
have added
Unlock
some
your
additional
potential,
tools to make you a
seize
better
the day.
person, a more
From the
seasoned
dance floor to
professional
the
at the end of the
boardroom,
day. So
let
let's
your
just
light
make this
shine,
worthwhile. Thank
shine.
you. Thank
Still
you,
with
Shona. Thank
academy,
you,
it's your
Raphael from
time.
Toronto. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much,
Feel the
everybody.
drums pulsate,
Thank you. Thank
energy
you.
so
Thank
strong.
you. All right. The
Join the
final 1 minute
movement
before we get
where
started.
dreams belong.
Thank you,
From
Kafayat. Thank you.
Lagos to
Thank you, Raphael.
Nairobi,
Thank
hear
you
the
so much,
call.
everybody.
Skill with academy,
Absolutely. Thank you.
break
Thank you,
down the
everybody.
walls.
Thank you all.
Rise up, leaders, let the beat guide
Okay.
your way.
Thank you,
Unlock
June.
your potential,
I know,
seize the
long
day.
time. All right. Lake
From the
Bluff
dance
from
floor to the
Chicago,
boardroom,
Illinois. Thank
let your
you.
light shine, shine.
All right.
Skill
Illinois
with
in the house.
academy,
Thank you. Thank you all.
it's your time.
All right. Let's see some of our folks. Okay. Hello
Oh,
from Italy. Thank you. All right. British Columbia. Thank you. Illinois in the house. Thank you. Toronto in the house. Canada. Thank you from London. Thank you. Canada team. H Town in the house. Let's
feel
go.
the
Thank you,
drums
Dallas. Big D, Big
pulsate,
D.
energy
You
so
can tell I'm
strong.
biased. I'm a
Join the
Dallas Brit, so
movement
sorry. Ha
where
ha ha.
dreams belong.
New York in the
From
house. Thank
Lagos
you.
to
Thank you, everybody.
Nairobi, hear the
Thank you so
call.
much. All right. Italy in
Skill
the
with
house, too.
academy,
Thank you. Thank you so much,
break
everybody.
down the
This is awesome,
walls.
folks. All right.
In the
Not to
heart of
waste our time,
Africa,
folks. Let's just get into
a
the
flame
weeds real quick.
ignites,
All right. Let me just pause for
a
a
rhythm
second.
so
And that's our
vibrant.
theme song. For those of you that are
Defense
not
minds
that are new to
alive,
what we do,
skill
we
with
have a theme song. We
academy.
love it so much. All right. Thank you so much, everybody, for taking the time to join. As always, a delight to be with you all. Today's going to be very exciting. Really, it's a topic that is very needy right now, all over the world, except you are not really online or really you're not in the public space. You would have been hearing all the concept of AI, 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 every buzzword in terms of AI. Today, we have the privilege and honor of having a great luminary within us, a great presence. She has really achieved so much in our space, and she's an educator. She has passion for people, for capacity building. She genuinely loves to see people grow and develop. And she's an educator. She's a professor at a renowned college in the USA. And she will tell us a little bit of exciting stuff today in terms of AI, the bias side of it, and a lot of exciting things today. And at the end of the presentation conversation, we would have enough room for questions and answers. And let's just have fun and enjoy this big time. Without further ado, let me bring up here real quick in the house, Dr. Obie in the house. What's up, sis?
Yay, I am doing very well. Thank you. Thank you so much for
Oh,
having me here. I look
absolutely.
forward to this. Mhm.
Excited, excited. And I love your background. That's so awesome, man. You are really, really, really into this.
Thank
Love it.
you.
Love it. Love it. Really cool background too. All right. Without further ado, and you have a passion for different areas. If you don't mind, Dr. Obi, can you introduce yourself a little bit before we get into the details of the presentation?
Absolutely. So my name is, well, some people call me Dr. Obie, but I am Obie Ogbanufe, and I am an assistant professor at the University of North Texas. I teach classes in data warehousing, cybersecurity, and coming up this fall, I'll be teaching a class in AI ethics. It's called ethics in business analytics. And I also have a business that I run that I started years and years ago on recruiting. So the idea is teaching technologies to technical recruiters and recruiting businesses. I wrote a book on that called Technology Made Simple for Technical Recruiters.
Amazing, amazing. I'm
A
kind
little
of
bit.
curious. If you don't mind, maybe later you can share some of those details with us to kind of know more and research that also. That would be great, really.
All right.
Amazing, amazing. So let me ask you, Obi, what really got you into the space of technology in general? What's your story? Why was this an attraction to you?
Well, let's see. Starts with my background. I did computer sciences as that was my bachelor's degree, and I did systems engineering as my master's degree. So I've always been enthralled with technology and
Wow.
specifically with data. So
Mm.
I've loved tinkering with data, understanding how people use data in making decisions, and so even when I was looking for a place to do my PhD, that was the main thing. How could I really use the power of data? Even before we started hearing about, that was years and years ago, before we
Yeah.
started hearing about AI and all of those, I was really interested in how data helps us to make decisions. So we're here today, and it's a beautiful time in our lives, right? Where
Yeah.
data is now taking over. But go ahead.
Amazing, amazing. I mean, that is really thrilling. And before I throw you out there to just do your magic and do your thing, what do you say to that lady or that girl child out there that says, you know what, I want to be like Dr. Obi? What would your words of encouragement be for a lady or a guy out there that says, you know what, if she can do it, probably I can do it. What would your words be for them?
Absolutely. So I personally believe my mantra in everything I do is that technology changes lives and livelihoods.
Mm.
So that guides me in everything that I do. So to anyone who is listening right now and hasn't yet started using the power of technology to change their lives and their livelihoods and the people around them, this is your day.
Mhm.
So I will say start little, right? You already, Akin, you already have a profile of helping people develop who they are in so many areas. And so there's so many ways to start. The thing is just start where you are and the sky is the limit. So anyone listening who hasn't started to use technology to change their lives, this is it.
Thank you so much, sis. All right, without further ado, let's let you do your magic and just go ahead and take it away, sis. Thank you.
Absolutely, absolutely. So thank you so much. So today I'll be talking about AI ethics and how the premise is to understand our roles, our collective roles in keeping AI applications and AI tools trustworthy and without bias. And so this has been I don't want to call it a passion, but something that I've really been interested in since 2017, 2018, when I started, especially in 2018, when I started teaching a class in predictive analytics and data mining. And I started looking at really the capacity of data and what it can do. And so many of you have heard about, how, the Target story and how Target used data mining to understand how and when someone was pregnant, even before their parents knew they were pregnant. And some of you may have heard about the story of a retail giant using data to understand, hey, that when people buy beer, when people go to the store to buy diapers, they also end up buying beer, and being able to put those two together so all those stories about data and data mining and how companies use it started to formulate in my mind. And I was just teaching data mining, and then hearing all these stories about how companies use it for good, and also how countries can also use it for bad. And I started to develop and started to add AI ethics in my classes. So I didn't call it AI ethics then because it wasn't the thing in my class. It wasn't the main topic of my classes, but I started introducing these topics. I started introducing a module or two about AI ethics just to help students understand the importance of knowing and using AI and using statistics, because AI is really sitting on statistics. So just a little about me. I've already talked about it. I'm an assistant professor. I do research in cybersecurity, AI ethics, and then data. And I teach in cybersecurity. I teach courses. I've taught predictive analytics, data mining. Today I teach data warehousing. And later on, I'll be teaching a class in ethics in business analytics that will explore, policies and so on and so forth in terms of how we can understand AI ethics and bias. And like I was saying before, I've done years and years ago, 2010 was when I wrote my first book on technology training for recruiters and recruiting businesses. So called Technology Made Simple. This is the second edition. I'm currently writing the third edition. And I have a consulting business where I train companies and train individuals to who are in this space to understand technology and how it is used. And that's my website for it, simpletechbook.com. All right, so let's talk about ethics. But before we do that, let's define what AI is. I know many of you know already what AI is because you've been using it, you know how it works and all of that. But because I'm an educator, I always want to start from just the beginning so everyone, we're all on the same page in terms of where and how, how I will continue to use these terms. So AI is a branch, right, of computer science that is dedicated to machines learning, machines performing tasks and learning how to perform and to do those tasks better and better each time. And so inside of AI, we have machine learning, we have deep learning, and we now have Gen AI, which is the part that everyone now is familiar with. That's what now made democratized AI for everyone, right? And now, when you look at all these parts of AI that we're now familiar with, they are called narrow AI. Why are they called narrow AI? Because they are used for specific goals. They're used for specific tasks, whether it's for recommendation, whether it's for speech recognition, for image recognition. All these things are used for specific tasks. That's why they're called narrow AI. And then let's see. And then we have artificial general intelligence. This is the AI that people are scared of, right? This is a part of AI that people, when they hear about it, they go, ooh, there's something that we need to really be afraid of, or that we need to be careful of. So it's a type of AI that is more advanced than what we are familiar with today. It learns, it adapts to new situations, it reasons and problem solves. This is the part that behaves like a human being. And people, if it's not done right, people should be wary and skeptical about the reach of this type of AI. It's creative and imaginative. And so this type of AI is more general in the sense that it's not specific to, giving recommendations. It's not specific to tasks that you and I are familiar with. This is general. It's just almost like a human being, if you will. So those are the differences, and this is core to understanding AI in general. Is, do you know what narrow AI is? And of course, we don't have the time to break all of these down here, but I want to lay that foundation so that you can see narrow AI and general AI. Companies like OpenAI, in fact, that's their main goal, is to create general purpose AI. The AGIs are what they're called. They're companies that are dedicated to building these tools. And I will invite you to go to their sites and learn more about what they're doing in terms of trying to build these types of AI that are ethical, right? And so keep clicking on this. So these are also examples of specific AI or narrow AI that are used in healthcare, medical diagnosis, financial services to identify fraud, social media, those recommendations that you get saying, hey, that you need to connect with this person and so on. Entertainment for Netflix, all of these things, they use data. Marketing, ads, customer service, for policing, those are all specific and they are narrow AI. Now, with all of these AI tools, right, there is potential for issues to happen. Now, these are just 3 that I put here, but I also have a link to this website where you can go and find hundreds and hundreds of AI that have gone rogue or have gone bad, right? This is an example. The first one here is an example of a facial recognition software that doesn't quite recognize Black women, right? And so the error rate when it is used in general is 0.8 for recognizing light-skinned men. But the comparison for dark-skinned women, the error rate is 34.7. What does that mean? That means that when, and I'll talk more about, how that is and in how that might affect you and I and in general. So, but just in a nutshell, it means that when facial recognition is used for people who are lighter skinned, it recognizes them with very little errors, as you can see, 0.8%. But when it's used for people who have darker skin, especially with darker skinned women, it doesn't. The error rate is more than 60%. That is huge. I can't begin to describe how bad that could be for people in general. And then there's this other issue that you might already have heard about, the Amazon years ago, 2018 or 2016 to 2018, when it started to use a tool to do its recruiting. And so what happened was that the tool was trained on resumes, trained on majority men, right? And so what happened was that because the tool was trained on mostly men, resumes of men, it started to be biased against women. And how? And so when it recognizes that a resume has anything to do with a woman, for example, women's tennis and things like that, women's club and things like that, it will downgrade that person. So, so when the company Amazon figured out that this was an issue, that the software was doing this, it had to sunset the software and said, hey, we can't use this anymore. Another issue is this software called Compass that's used in the judicial system, right? That is used to do a risk assessment on recidivism. The idea is trying to understand who are people who are more likely to come back to jail or come back to prison after they've been released. And so what this analysis found was that it was biased heavily against Black men. So all of these, and there's so many others, like I said, there are sites dedicated to collecting these issues. And so this link here is one of those sites that I would invite you to go and take a look at. So, but before we go into this, I want to assume, but sometimes I just want to lay some groundwork before we start to go on, because it'll help you and I just move on and understand how these AI tools work. So here is a general framework for how AI tools work. So it starts with training data, right? A data set is trained. And so whether it is it doesn't matter what it is. It could be to recognize spam. It could be to recognize fraud. It could be to recognize images. Is this a man? Is this a woman? And things like that. Or to recognize fraud. Is this a fraudulent email or fraudulent transaction? So it's given data. It's given data that looks like this. The idea is let's train using a data set. So, for example, you see this data set here, there's 001 representing a piece of data, and you have to label the data to tell, to say, hey, this is spam or this is not spam. You label the data that way and you feed it. The second stage is you then use that to build a model, build a machine learning model, right? And the model will then learn, through some underlying statistics, in the model, to learn what made 001 a yes or what made 002 a no. So it will learn all of that and create a model so that when you feed in a new data set, it will use that model that it built. So when you hear, machine learning model, that's that middle part. It will then use that to classify a new set of data. But the problem starts, and I'll talk a little bit more about it. So as it's creating these models, it's also generating the error rates, those error rates that I referred to before, to say, hey, this one has 80% error rate, 20% error rate, and so on and so forth. And, the person who is training the data will then go back and continue to tweak until they get to a place where they feel comfortable that the classifier is now working, that the machine learning model is now good enough. Now, it won't always be, can't be, 100%. But it gets to a place where it is acceptable. So the challenge is now to get it to a place where it's acceptable for everyone, not acceptable for just one group. So that's how machine learning generally works. Of course, there's so many things in between, but that's how it works. Now, these are issues that come from just that little framework I just showed you in the slide previously, is that training data may already have some bias in it, right? So if the data is based on a group of people, for example, I just talked about the Amazon case where the data that is used to train the model is mostly men, right? So what happens is that the system will learn that men are better, right? And we'll learn, hey, men have been hired. So you can be trained to say, hey, these are the people we want to hire. So the model will learn that. And so when it sees something else that it's not quite what it's used to, it will downgrade that, or it will it will downgrade that or mark that as a no. So the problem starts in the data. If that data is not representative of everyone, guess what? It will then learn the good parts of the majority of the people that are in that data, so that if there's any other data that you're providing to it, it will not generally consider that new data set or that group of people applicable, if you will. So, and then the other question is, how is the data labeled, right? In terms of images, how do you determine who is a man and who is a woman, right? In today's day and age, you can't really determine all of that just by looking at someone, looking at someone's picture. For example, I had the the issue. I use a company, I won't say the name now, but I used a software that many of you may already be familiar with. So when I used it, these software where you put your profile images, about 10, 20 of your images in there, and it will generate for you a wonderful picture of you and all that wonderful stuff. So I was happy. Oh my God, I'm going to try this software and see if it can create all the wonderful things that I can put on LinkedIn, on my social media. And lo and behold, this software generated images and labeled me as a man. Not only did it label me as a man, it removed my hair. So I was bald in all the profile pictures that it generated for me. That was so demeaning. And so I would show you the picture, but I don't want to, because it's a disgrace. So, but how did that happen? How do you think that happened? One, there's so many reasons, but one is they don't have enough data about women that look like me. I mean, to have trained the model to recognize me when I put my images there, it didn't recognize me as a woman. So this is just a small scale of the issues, right? And then how objective is the criteria for labeling the data? Because someone has to label the data. That's the work of somebody. So it's not just, hey, machine learning learns. Someone has to sit down and label the data and say, hey, this is a man, this is a woman, right? So what is the criteria? How was it labeled? Then transparency. How do we know the model? Do we know how the thinking behind how this model was trained, and can we trace it? So all these things become issues. There's privacy issue. How was the data collected? How is it used? And did the people give you consent to using their data? Today, you've probably heard the issue with Slack using their customers' data to train their AI tools without consent. They didn't ask, at least that's what we're reading from the news, is that they didn't ask people for consent at the time. And so I think now they're beginning to ask. But at the time that the news broke, they weren't asking for consent. So the idea is, how is the data collected when it's used to train the machine learning? And then there's also the chance for malicious use. It could be used maliciously. You've seen those things in social media, deep fakes and all of that, people calling people and saying, hey, your son is missing and all of that. And there's so many other bad uses. These are bad people using it, but companies could also, who knows? But the idea is that there's a potential for AI tools to be maliciously used. to control our behaviors. The last, and this is certainly not the last, but another issue is security. And so this is becoming an issue where the idea is, so there's adversarial attacks where an AI tool or AI data can be tweaked just a little bit, right? Because remember, it learns through data and it's continuously relearning and relearning. So there are issues where someone or some people can add potential bad data into the learning, right? And then make the AI start to predict things that it shouldn't be predicting. So that's the adversarial attacks that companies like IBM right now are trying to prevent and guard against. So these are some potential issues. Then all of this starts to raise the issue of ethics, right? The issue of AI ethics. So what is ethics? When people talk about ethics, what does it really mean? This is a definition, a general definition. It's a set of moral principles that govern our behaviors, right? It's how we generally act. Is it good? Is it bad? Can it harm others? So in terms of AI ethics, it's just, you can talk about it. There's so many definitions. People have so many ways to describe it. But one that I use that I find helpful, that doesn't need you to think about words to use to coin words to use to describe it. It's just for you to say, it's the questions and the conversations that we have about whether an AI tool can be good, safe, can be bad, or can be harmful to others. So that encapsulates the power of an AI tool. So these are just questions. So just think of AI ethics as the questions and conversations that you and I have about whether the tool can do good, can do bad, or can do harm to other people. So with that definition, it goes beyond what the law can allow. So it's not about, hey, does the law allow this? Does the law allow that? I know the President Biden just had a guideline, or what is it now? What is it called? Recently to put some guardrails on AI. So ethics goes beyond all of that. And, ethics starts with Isaac Asimov, who wrote 3 laws to govern robotics. He wrote it in a novel, a science fiction novel that says a robot must not injure a human being, uh, you know, actively or through inaction. A robot must obey the orders given to it by a human being. And a robot must protect its own existence, and as long as it does not conflict with law A and law B. And then the last one, years after, is a robot must not harm humanity, or by inaction allow humanity to come to harm, because you can actively harm, but you can actively also not do anything and allow harm to come to someone. So these were the 3 laws that started the movement in towards AI ethics. And now, people have developed so many other guidelines, if you will, for AI ethics. There's so many other definitions. This is one by Sayu Wang in 2020 that says that AI ethics is the moral behaviors of human beings as you design and construct and use and interact with AI agents. And there's so many other definitions. But as you can see here, there's a theme in terms of how do we morally design tools, and how do we also have conversations about designing tools that do not bring harm to other people. Now, with all of that, these are the principles for AI ethics. So when someone is talking about AI ethics, they're talking about them in terms of there are four key principles. So it stands on AI ethics stands on four key principles. Now that we have another one, the fifth one, but for the longest time, when people started to talk about this, it was standing on FAT. Started with FAT, FATE, and then now we've added privacy in it. And privacy was part of it before, but it wasn't called out until lately. So the F there means fairness. Fairness means that there needs to be an absence of favoritism. Your AI tool cannot favor one group over the other, right? And based on their inherent characteristics, maybe it's race, maybe it's age, whatever it is, the AI tool cannot favor or bias against one group. So accountability, what does that mean? It means that that the people designing the software or the AI tools have to be accountable to someone. They have to be held responsible if the performance of the system is found to be wanting. So if there's an issue, and like a car hits someone or kills someone or things like that, somebody needs to be responsible. So the idea behind accountability is that the owners need to be accountable and need to respond, have a way of responding to issues that surround the software and the application that they built. Transparency means giving people, everyday people, an explanation for how the AI made a decision that impacted me. For example, if an AI tool was used in making a decision about your loan application, right? And it denied your loan application. The idea behind transparency is that you're going to be able to explain how that decision was made, and how everything was used, the model that was used, the algorithm that was used. Was it deep learning? Was it decision trees? All the models that could be used, how was the data? Everything to do with how the AI tool was built has to be in transparency. For the longest time, companies, for years and years, AI tools have been called the black box, and it truly is. However, recently there has been innovations to understand really how AI performs, right? So transparency is that part that says you need to really understand how your AI makes decisions, and you have to be able to let people know how those AI tools make decisions. So that's transparency. Explainability means tell people if the tool makes a decision, those people need to be able to understand why they were denied. There has to be some easy explanation that can be given to someone that tells them how that decision came to. Okay, so that explainability. And then privacy is a big one. You can't really, because AI uses a lot of data. And so privacy just means here, and it's not a just, that's a big part of AI, is privacy. So privacy is concerns over data, right? And how the data was collected, how it is used, how it is stored, who owns it, right? So there's this big news that came about years ago about how a social media platform used data from its users to build an AI tool. So Europe now wanted, there was a lawsuit. I think it was Facebook. I might be wrong. But a lawsuit now came and said to Facebook, hey, you have to remove those people from the the data that was used. So there's so much questions surrounding that. One of the questions is, even after you remove the people, their data from that, how are you going to remove them from the model? Because the model has already been built using that data, right? You can't do that. You can't dismantle the model because the model is already built with that person's data. Yes, you can remove, at least attempt to remove the data from the data set, but how do you break it down in terms of the model? So there's a lot of gray area in that space. But the idea here is that you need to be able to understand privacy. And my feelings about privacy and is, you can hear a lot of people saying, hey, that privacy, we've lost our privacy, that this is what I hear all the time, nobody has privacy anymore, and so on and so forth. I don't believe that. If you're still wearing clothes, you have privacy and you maintain privacy. If you go into your home and you want your door locked and you have maybe a fence and you don't want people coming in there, you still want privacy. You lock your doors, there's privacy. When you are on your phone and you don't want someone looking at it, you have privacy. So this is my personal belief. I think that when companies and people say, hey, privacy is dead and there's no privacy, I think we should question that. I think we should question their motivation, because data is what fuels this economy, right? So, and if people convince you and I that privacy is dead, then that means we have no agency. We start to think that we can't do anything, but we can. We have agency. We can say enough is enough. You can't have, imagine if Netflix doesn't have access to our data, they won't know what to create, right? If Amazon doesn't have access to our data, they won't know what to provide to you. If Google doesn't know where we're going, and so on and so forth. So all of these tools and these companies, they run on our data. So we have some power. We have some of it. So don't be quick to say, hey, everybody has my data now, so, there's nothing I can do. There is something we can do. And so I hope I can get to the end of it and then we'll talk. So companies are now beginning to say, because they know that we have power as individuals, we all have power. And so they're beginning to say, hey, we need to start building tools that are trustworthy and responsible. So IBM has, if you go to their site on responsible AI and trustworthy AI, they have a lot going on that, where they're saying AI tools must be built based on our own understanding of how it works, right? You have to understand how an AI works for you to trust that it will work for your own benefit. Deloitte also talks about trustworthy AI being one where we require some governance, we require some regulations to help us and companies to comply. MIT has something to share about that, saying that it has to be based on internal and external checks to make sure that we reduce discrimination and biases from the AI tool. So today, as you go about your way, you're using InVideo, you're using Slack, you're using ChatGPT, you're using Gemini, and all these wonderful tools that we use in our day-to-day lives. I want you to consider a few things. I want you to start asking questions. I just published a YouTube video just today, this morning, on the 5 key questions that we ought to be asking whenever we pick up an AI tool, a new one to use. And these questions keep these tools. You ask yourself and you go and you do a check for yourself. So you're asking, how was the data sourced for this AI tool that I'm using? You have to ask that question. You also have to ask, is the data representative? For example, for me, in that tool that I use for my profile, I know immediately that the data was not representative of people like me, because, how would they, look at me, with my hair and everything. And it created a profile picture of someone, a man with no hair. How could that be? Anyway, and then number 3, what criteria was used for labeling the data? Was the application or solution audited? So there are now companies that audit these applications to make sure that they follow these, fat or fate principles. Is a result of the audit published publicly? So it's one thing to say, oh, we've been audited, but it's another to publish the result of the audit and say, hey, we were audited and this is what it said. And then the other thing that's really important is the company needs to have an AI code of ethics that shows you, hey, that we're really particular about AI. And these are the things we've done to make sure that we're reducing bias and we're reducing issues, any kinds of issues. It doesn't have to be about bias, but it could be about other things. And then, is there accountability? Is there a point of contact or recourse when there's an AI issue? All right. When you encounter an AI issue, is there someone, does the website have a point of contact that you and I can go to and report and say, hey, this is my experience. This is what happened on your tool. So these are some questions that you can start to ask. And so here are examples of websites that I've gone to look for the AI statements and to see whether they have some AI, a code of ethics. For example, Workable, they have something here that tells us, hey, at least they're thinking of it, right? It's not complete, but at least they're thinking of it. HireVue is a software that you might already be familiar with. This is a company software AI tool that companies use to do interviews. So it will, do AI interviews. So the idea here is when I went to their website to look, so they do recognize that that there's potential for their tool to be biased. So they have statements about that on their website as well. So always do those things. So I don't know if we have time to do this, but I did have, I'm a teacher, so I always want to make sure that there's some kind of exercise that you can do.
I like it. Dr. Obi, that was amazing, really. I mean, I'm sure everyone was chuckling when you said that you ran an AI model and it showed you as a man, bowed and all. So, I
Yep.
mean, that is so. And I'm sure everybody, really enjoyed this session. And I think we can do this real quick. If you don't mind, if you can just put it in the chat real quick, any AI of tool of choice you've used in the past, if you can go ahead and just type it in, that would be great to kind of and so that we can all see it. Then we can take one more step just to kind of out of curiosity to see if that website of that tool has some information on their AI code of ethics. You know, so it means if you don't see that, um, that means that's a gap potentially, really. If you have an AI website or tool and you've not developed any code of ethic around AI, then naturally we know you guys have not really taken it as much serious as it should be taken in general. So I challenge all of us as we use all of those tools, and we have a segment AI, and some of you are always there. You now going forward as I hear this, I have to start thinking and say, oh, you know what? Do they even have a code of ethics in whatever tool they are building right now? Because that's a big deal. Okay, somebody's typing ChatGPT, Gemini, and through all of. I know most of us think everything about AI is just ChatGPT, and that's okay. It's a starting point. There are so many tools out there right now. Some of us in our community would agree with me. It's just amazing, amazing, crazy tools. If you are not aligned with playing with some of these tools, the use cases, I'll challenge you, start exploring and looking at them. But take it a step further and start thinking from a point of, oh, what about the code of ethics around this? What are the potential implications of this? I think it's such a big deal right now because think about it for a second. Before we complain about bias, we have to be on the table. Meaning, if they are building models that are not reflective of certain demography of people,
Mhm.
it means it's so important. Those set of people should be also engaged and be part of that decision making. We need more of Professor Dr. Obi to be on the table and a lot of us to be on the table. So when those models are built, questions are asked, right? And sometimes regulation takes a while, right? So it's not going to be immediate. So even if you are relying on, well, hopefully government will pass regulation, blah, blah, it might take a while to
Mhm.
get into full effect. So if we rely solely on regulation without really being proactive, then I think it will be a gap that will catch up with most of us. So I surely agree with that. Let's say, okay, people are sharing names of some of those tools they use, but make it as a personal exercise for yourself and make sure going forward, always check for the code of ethics of whatever program, application, website you visit. I know we have 5 minutes to go. Please, if you don't mind, ask your questions. Let's see. Let's make sure we can have Dr. Obi address some of those questions. I know most of you have some questions. Please go ahead and just type it. Let's sneak some of those questions in real quick, if you don't mind. And Dr. Obi, that was amazing. Very,
Wow.
very impactful. It's one thing to use the AI tools. This is the reality of seeing the implication on us. It's not enough to be a user, but now, what is the impact on us? All right, we got our first question. Okay, somebody said, could you please explain the concept of model risk assessment?
Yes, absolutely. So this is regarding so I'll jump in and talk about it in terms of Nest. Nest just
Yep.
created well, not just, I think a year and a half ago, they built an AI risk management framework. That is, I know many of you are familiar with the security risk management framework. So this one follows the same type of framework to say, hey, these are the things that you need to do to be able to manage the risks in AI. So they started with governing, understanding, what are you trying to do, and does it meet? So you can go right now, and I don't know if I have enough time to talk about it, but so this all is part of that compliance, is part of the governance, is part of risk management. How do we manage the risk in when one is building, or a company is building an AI application? So you model risk assessment, it comes in between the mapping and the measuring and the management of your AI model. What do you think about? What is the intent? Do you know the context? Do you have measures that you're going to use to manage the risk? And how do you then go about the last part? How do you then go about executing on those assessments and measures that you've identified? Let's see, what should one consider in venturing in AI compliance and regulation? So I would say I have this here. There are 7 rules. Okay. First of all, acknowledge that AI does harm, and consider those consequences. Become AI literate. Okay. So there are courses. I have one right now that talks about AI literacy. What do you need to know to be AI literate? Right. So it's not just ChatGPT, like Akin just talked about. There's more to understanding AI than just using those tools and prompting. Understand them so that you can have the language to add in the conversation about AI, so that when you are building those tools, you're doing the risk assessment, you have the language to start asking asking questions and the conversations, and you also have to start reporting those issues when you see those issues. There's a few out there about, X and Twitter and Facebook. When you see them, report them. When you go to that site that I gave you the link, you will see places where those can be reported. When you see those things, they can be reported there as well. So what do I have? And read books. There are several books. There's Why Privacy Matters. There's Unmasking AI. There's all kinds of books on these things that when you read, it'll build your language and your capacity to join that conversation.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Dr. Obi. And Dr. Obi, please, if you don't mind, and for everybody, would, if you can indulge us, we would love to bring you again, if that's fine.
Absolutely. I would love to come back.
Thank you so much.
Thank
And please, everybody would like you to follow her on YouTube, on LinkedIn, and I'll share the information once I follow up with us as a team. Thank you so much, sis. You are awesome. You are a luminary to our community. And we do something that we always like to do before we let you slide away briefly.
Mhm.
And everybody remain on the call. Once I let this, Dr. Obi slide away, I have an announcement. Everybody can be on the call real quick. But I think we'll just make sure we do justice to our presence too. And let's see if we can make her just, right away. Let's go.
Embrace the tempo. Let your
All right, you
dreams
need to
take
give us some
storm.
dancing though. Let's
Rise
go.
up,
Here we go.
let the beat guide your way.
You're giving us some professoral dancing now. Let's go. Here we go. Here we go.
Oh, thank you so much for having me.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Dr. Obi. I appreciate it a lot. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much. All right. Thank you, sis. And I'll catch up with you later. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Thank you.
All right. All right. Bye.
All right. Thank you. All right. Thank you, everybody, once again. This was a very impactful session. And the reason I wanted us to just remain for a second is it would be injustice for me not to share the news. It's equally important. It's not the best of news I would like to share, but it's something we have to share. So, if you remember, a few months ago, maybe like a month or two, we brought one of our great guest speaker to come and talk. And if you guys remember, I'll share. She was a director, a senior director with IBM. So yesterday I got news that we lost her. So she passed on to glory. Very sad news, devastating news, and I just want to make sure because she was really part of our community here. She shared love, and I just want to make sure at least we can honor her in a minute to just show some highlights of when she came here and the impact she made in us as a community. She we don't know all the details. She complained of a stomach ache. She's based in Calgary, Canada, and she just didn't come out of the situation. So I just want to make sure at least we can honor her in our own little way as a team, as a community. And I just thought there's no better way than just to show some of the when she was in our presence here. Some of you remember her. I think I'm sharing. Let me see if I'm sharing my screen now. Here we go. Yeah, that's Dr. Shay there. And I'll just play some of our clips
And
when
I'm
she
going to
spoke
post
with
it
us
to our,
to,
it's going to be on our
to kind
YouTube
of
page so you all can listen
hopefully
to,
do
believe
some
it or not,
justice to
Shay,
honor
I have
her. And,
two of my back
let's see if
and
I
things
can play
together.
this to
people in the right
remind
task.
us.
So when we
Let's
use equity
see.
to mean all of us have to look the same and have the same values and the same successes, it's not fair. And then, of course, inclusion, you're only as included as much as you.
For some of us, I'm sure we remember
blend with the
She was
picture.
so
And what
much
I mean
with
by that is
energy.
speak a certain way, act a certain way. The better you do that, the more you're put together. People talk about the 10,000 hour rule. They can't something you do for 10,000 hours that becomes second nature, muscle memory. You're tracking your brain to think that way. I think that is so true. And we're definitely not all be that go awry. It's human. It's so right to sit in it. But let the next time you sit in it be shorter and shorter. And before you know it, you're a go-getter. Within 5 minutes, you're like, yeah, we can change that, turn that around, and you keep on moving. So those for me are what it means to show up at
Is it playing? Okay, let me replay it. I think let me play it back. I think I
PowerPoints. Like I can steal a template like no matter.
give me 1 second just to make sure. All right, let me play Shay 1 more second. Give me 1 second. I'm going to play it right now again. All right, let's.
Man's business. Wake me up in the middle of the night, I will find the template for the best thing. But ask me to create a template, I'm like, brother and sister in the Lord. That is why Microsoft has templates. So if someone like me is now put in a place to create a template, I'm gonna fail at it. So if my leader does that to me, the tasks won't get done. But if
Thank
I have
you.
someone who's great at Excel and I have them doing the modeling and I'm clear in what I want to see in the models, then we're good.
Thank you so
But
much, Shay.
it's a day-to-day um grind.
Thank you.
Good
Thank you. And I know
question.
we have 3 more minutes, and thank you,
Oh, yeah.
everybody. You all are
Thank you.
awesome.
Do we
You
get to
know,
dance out?
oh yeah, we're gonna dance out in a bit. And
Okay.
Shay, can you type out? Let me copy Shay's LinkedIn. You guys can follow Shay on LinkedIn. She's
Yes.
an excellent resource for you to just make sure you tap into our wealth of knowledge and experience. And you can check out on LinkedIn, Shea Dewale, and I'll probably send the a LinkedIn profile handle to the larger community also.
For
And
sure.
some of you have pinged me and said, okay, please do us a favor, like the button, folks. She has been awesome. Give us some
And
like us on
I just
YouTube,
wanted to share a
like us on
memory
YouTube, so that
and
more people get to
you know
see what
the
we are
impact she had
doing.
in
And
our
I can see a
professional
question about
community,
the
in our
Skill Week program
family,
coming
in our
up.
work,
Yes, we have a program
and
on the
it's doing justice
27th
unto
of
it well.
April. The
So
dance out, everybody
I'm
on the
going to see
call.
her
We are
Yes.
gonna dance out
enjoy.
before we go. Let's go.
That was our last memory of her. I want to make sure we just share that memory with her. And
I love the theme
prayers
song,
with
man.
her family, with
Thank you, Shayata.
frustrating news.
Thank you, everybody. You all are awesome. Thanks for being part of our community. Let's keep doing great things together. And always remember, impossible is nothing. Don't let anybody hold you back. If you have a dream, go for it. No limitation. We don't do that here. Zero limitation,
Man.
folks. Let's go. Let's go. Thank you, everybody. God bless. Enjoy the
Thank you
evening.
all.
Enjoy the weekend. Shayata, you're the best. Love from here. Love from here. Thank you. Thank you,
Thank
sis. You're
you. Thank
awesome.
you. Thanks for
Thank
having
you
me,
so much.
Aguilar.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. And Dolly P.
Dolly P in the house. Woohoo. Oh. Thank you, Shay. Thank you so much,
Thanks.
sis. I
All
appreciate
right.
you.
Take care.
Good night,
Bye.
everybody. God bless. Take care.